RG Enzon is an active duty sailor, investor, business owner, and most importantly, a mentor to the military and local San Diego community. RG owns Enzon Media, a branding and digital marketing company focusing on helping local businesses implement and integrate digital marketing tools into their brick and mortar businesses to scale their organic growth without hiring expensive in-house talent. Uh, I'm glad to have you on, RG. Thank you so much for for being on this podcast, especially being my first guest.
Thank you.
I'm gonna jump right in, and start getting some insight from you. What motivated you to venture into entrepreneurship? While still being an active duty sailor.
Yeah, happy to answer that. But first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Uh huh.
Especially this is like a veteran focused podcast. I love talking to our community because it's just a great part of our DNA, you know.
Hmm.
Because not a lot of people join military. But yeah, so basically I start like I've always been exposed to entrepreneurship since like
Hmm.
at a very young age because my grandmother as I was growing up, she had her own little businesses. And then
Hmm.
my mom, she had a 9 to 5 job, but she also had her own side hustle. And
Hmm.
it was during the time when like e-commerce wasn't exactly a thing.
Hmm.
So she was doing physical commerce, I guess, you know, like local brick and mortar, kind of
Yeah.
like um sales and all that. And growing up, I saw that like it's fun for her and like it eventually allowed us to have a better lifestyle growing up.
Hmm.
All because of the side hustle, because the 9 to 5 job, because she used to work for the government, it wasn't paying that much, you know.
Hmm.
And so I've always been passionate about technology and all that stuff. But I think the needle that moved me to like really propel into entrepreneurship was when I was already in the Navy. We were out and deployed, and I found out that my grandmother died, and she died because she got hit and run. So it was very tragic. It was very sudden, and then it kind of like put me on that kind of like perspective that I was like, wow, anything can happen. So, you know, like being in the military is awesome. It's great. It teaches you a lot, builds your skills and all that stuff. It helps your network. But
Hmm.
what does that do for you if that's not really your passion, you know? And I've always been passionate about technology and growing up seeing, you know, these role models. I decided I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for what I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah, that's actually a very, very solid thing to have as a passion, you know, and driving and business driver. So before your current business, you had a dog boarding business, which is awesome, by the way. I mean, if there's anything to any business, that's related to people's passions, dogs, or I mean, I'll just now talking to my neighbor about half an hour about his dog. So that's actually an ideal one to have. So now, how did you scale it? You said you scaled it from 0 to 100K within 18 months, without spending money on ads. 'Cause how did you do that?
Yeah, so let me walk you back. So basically, about 2 years ago, my
Uh-huh.
wife was working her regular 9 to 5,
Uh-huh.
and I, you know, like ever since, you know, like a couple of months before that, leading to that, you know, that exact moment, we're like, you know what, let's do this. Um, I noticed that like she would come home from work and then she's feeling like tired, and then she would complain about, you know, like the work environment per se.
Hmm.
And you know, because like with dealing with people, not everybody's gonna be pleasant. You know, not everybody's gonna have like awesome character or attitude and all that stuff. So at some point, it kind of got to her, And there's really during the time when we just came from Disneyland, right? And when we went to Disneyland, it was me, myself, and my dog. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, and then my dog. And then pretty much like when we were there, like we didn't want to bring our dog to Disneyland because it's such a
Mm-hmm.
big area, and I wasn't gonna ask my dog or have my dog walk around Disneyland for hours. It's just a big area
Mm-hmm.
to cover, especially for a small dog. So
Mm-hmm.
we were looking primarily for a dog sitter or a
Mm-hmm.
doggy daycare. And then
Mm-hmm.
we found one. It was through this app called Rover. And then through Rover, basically you can pretty much like see it's basically like an online directory
Mm-hmm.
slash marketplace of all available dog sitters or pet
Yeah.
sitters in the area. And then it
Mm-hmm.
shows you the rates, and all that stuff. So we found somebody, and one of the first few questions she asked was that, hey, just just a heads up, I actually have two other dogs in my home.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide to do the daycare with me. And then I was like, like with me having an entrepreneurial mindset, I was like, what is wrong with that? Like there's nothing wrong with that. But like it kind of like gave me like this idea that I was like, wow, because like she was charging $50 for daycare, and she
Mm-hmm.
has two other dogs already. So that's already $100. But if you add my dog, that's $150, right? So I was like, oh wow, like this is pretty much easy money, because like if
Mm-hmm.
you're already passionate with dogs,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing it at home.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
was like, this can be like a great business. And
Yeah.
so we basically went to this land, came back home, and like the usual that like my wife is just having kind of like this defeated um
Mm-hmm.
appearance. I was like, hey, why don't we try this? And
Mm-hmm.
then she was like, how am I supposed to get clients, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I go, like let's just build our profile on that same app, and then we pass the background check, and then I pretty much look at like the top 10 dog sitters in our area, and then I
Mm-hmm.
look, and then I'm basing the top 10 obviously based on like how much reviews they have, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
not everybody will leave your business a review, but if you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of reviews, that means you probably book way more than the amount of people who left your review. So I
Yeah.
studied them, and I noticed like some common things. And then I pretty much like just kind of like piece it together, and then I created some kind of like um brand story, and I put it on our profile.
Yeah.
And literally like not even like 2 days really, like we booked our first client, so
Mm-hmm.
they like our story and all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then they booked. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh wow, this could work. And then so basically on our first month we were
Mm-hmm.
I think we made like $1,500. And I know it's not a
Wow.
lot, right? But it's a good start, right? So I was like, like. But then during this time, we were still in military housing, and you know how that goes. Like you're very limited to what you can do because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
basically
Exactly. Yeah.
like a community or like an apartment complex, but only exclusive
Mm-hmm.
to the military. And
Yeah.
so I told her, I was like, hey, why don't you quit your job, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then she was like, are you crazy? Because like the first one, I only made like 1,500. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, 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 just trust me. I know it will work, right? Because like I started to understand the algorithm of this platform, and the
Yeah.
way it was working is just kind of like Google. Like if you want to search up on search engine like Google, you need to be able to attract both the humans and also the bots that runs
Mm-hmm.
Google, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like learning the platform, but also because I've been doing like digital marketing for our other business, I've been able to essentially integrate our own software. I was able to utilize the skills that I built on through the years. I've also been able to utilize VAs, for example, to help us build some automation and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like how we got there. And then I think month
Mm-hmm.
three, This is the time when the housing market, like the bidding wars were starting to come down, which is great. But then this is also during the time when like the interest rates were going up, right?
Hmm.
And then I tell my wife, I was like, hey, why don't we buy a house? And remember, this
Hmm.
is like during the time where like the interest rates on the market is like going on an uptick. And then again,
Yeah.
she was like, are you crazy? I was like, you know, like trust me, this will work, right? Because like I
Hmm.
noticed like our limited we weren't limited on like the amount of people that um that are attracted to our profile, right? Or to our
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
So I said, I think the limiting factor here is really where we're at. Because like at that point we were in military housing and you can't
Hmm.
really have as many dogs as you even want, even if you want
Yeah.
to, right? It's like
Hmm.
there's rules um that goes with it. So I said, all right, well, I was thinking, I was like, if we have a house with a big yard with
Hmm.
grass, I think that's like a perfect situation because one,
Hmm.
you can have your, you know, like your backyard grill and all that stuff, do your
Hmm.
family thing, but also at the same time, it can be like a mini park for the dogs to pretty much like enjoy themselves.
Hmm.
So, so I was thinking that, and then I'm, you know, like basically we just kept doing the same thing over and over. So it's all about consistency.
Oh wow.
We kept, yeah, and then we kept improving our sales process, our booking process, our onboarding,
Yeah.
and the most important thing is really asking for reviews. That's really like the thing that really moved the needle.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I was
Yeah,
waiting for that one thing that
yeah,
kind of served as a catalyst. Okay, yeah. So reviews
yeah,
really, yeah, help
yeah.
drill.
Because like if you think about it, right, especially in the online business world, like
Yeah.
how do people find you? Obviously, they find you if you're good with SEO, and
Hmm.
also what's better than that? You know, without
Hmm.
you paying for ads, word of mouth. And how do you get word of mouth online? It's through online reviews. So
Yeah.
basically, what we did is basically we just asked people every time they board with their dogs with us, we just ask them for a
Hmm.
review. And then
Okay.
we started with like not having any reviews on day one, obviously, right? So we purposefully lowered our rates. And then I told her, I was like, all right, this is gonna be our rates for like until we reach 10 reviews. And we got
Oh,
10
okay.
reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good
And then
strategy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then after 10 reviews, I said, all right, let's raise our prices and then we're
Hmm.
gonna hold off until we reach 30 reviews. We
Hmm.
reach 30 reviews. We bump
Hmm.
up our prices again. And then as we raise prices too, this is very important. Because like when we
Yeah.
were at a lower price range, we
Yeah.
noticed that like the people that we were dealing with, they were asking for a lot more for a lot less money.
Hmm.
But as we started to raise our prices, we started attracting people who value other people's time and
Hmm.
expertise, that like they don't really question you and
Hmm.
like they don't ask for discounts. So I was like, oh wow, this is a win-win, you know, because like you're growing your reputation, you're growing your business, you're raising your prices, and you get
Hmm.
better quality customers. So we basically just kept doing that. Um, and up to date, we are at 300 plus reviews on that platform. And then on Google, I think we're about to reach 40 reviews.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was all done with like reputation, repetition,
Yeah. Yeah. So
and
it's
just
basically,
improving.
I believe that's what it's called. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's called, that's basically uh, reputation management was a key strategy that you all kind of
Exactly,
um,
exactly.
set everything up around, and that helped push you forward. Okay, yeah, that's great. That's amazing. I mean, it's very interesting, especially since it's something that can be applied to other businesses as well, and not just the dog, vertical or dog industry. Um, yeah, so I mean, it kind of that's a perfect segue actually for this next question. So now, what was your, now that you know that you've had like this very successful strategy that can actually that led you to something measurable level of revenue. What was your initial vision for Enzon Media, and how did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, so basically for the digital marketing agency side, all I
Hmm.
wanted to do at first was like to, because like I really started with like just doing website design, right? And it was all
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm.
It was like an agency of one person
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
started. And then but basically I was in the Navy when I started, and as you know, even in the Army, I'm sure like your time when you were still in the service was very limited, because like at the end of the day, you're you sign up and there's a mission to be accomplished. So,
hmm,
and like for the Navy, like for us, like basically if you're underway, you're out to sea, guess what? You don't have that luxury to communicate outside. So you can't close
yeah,
deals, you can't do the work, you just
yeah,
can't do anything. So
yeah,
basically, the mindset shift for me was like instead of me learning how to do things, I ended
hmm,
up learning how to hire and manage people and projects. So that's
yeah.
what
Oh,
I
okay.
focus on.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Huh.
And I just basically kept doing it. And
Hmm.
when I was in E5,
Hmm.
what I basically did was like I started saving my paycheck until I was E5. And
Hmm.
then I started hiring my classmates back in college. And I
Yeah,
finished my degree in the Philippines, even
yeah.
before I joined Navy. And my degree is in information technology. So I'm very
Oh,
nerdy, right?
all right.
So,
That's
yeah,
hey man, we're brothers there, man.
there
Yeah, I
you
got
go.
an
Yeah,
information technology degree. Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
so basically, I, w- during that time, like I wasn't great at sales, but I know web
Uh-huh.
design. I know
Uh-huh.
how to code, but I don't have
Hmm.
enough time. So I was
Yeah,
like, all right, well, why don't I just hire my college classmates? Because these
yeah,
people were smarter than me back in school,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And that was like a couple of years after we all graduated from college. And
Yeah,
these people were like working like Samsung, Accenture, like big companies. So they have
yeah.
like enterprise experience. And then what I
Yeah.
ended up doing was like, dude, I'm just gonna hire you. And then
Hmm.
so we were doing projects together. And then at first they were doing like for example, like website design for clients, right?
Hmm.
And then I said, you know what, screw that, why don't
Hmm.
we build our own software, right? Because like
Hmm.
I know how to code, but I don't have
Hmm.
enough time. So I said maybe I can readjust my role in my own, with my mindset per se, and then I go, all right, if I don't have enough time, I will manage the project. I will QA the code, right? So
Hmm.
that's essentially what I did. And then going back to our dog boarding business, the same reputation management software that we use for that, that's literally our own software that my college classmates that I hired um,
Hmm.
did. And then basically that is the same software that I also sell to other small businesses in the USA.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. It took a lot of discipline. I think you saying that you saved up money. Basically, you weren't going for the instant gratification. You had a long term vision. I think that takes a lot of discipline, and that is, even though that's not like a technical strategy, that's definitely a key strategy that allowed you to have capability, right? Um, Now, if okay, let me jump into this next question. How can you share some early challenges that you faced when you started the business, and how did you jump over the? I mean, how did you get over those challenges? How did you overcome them?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is like imposter syndrome, right? Because like
Mhm.
I started with me being the doer. Like I started with
Mhm.
like doing freelance projects, and
Mhm.
I even applied to like agencies. I got hired. I was doing projects under those agencies. Um,
Mhm.
and switching from that mindset of being the one who's getting hired and
Mhm.
doing the thing by yourself, I think there was like some imposter syndrome there because like at the time you're kind of like, can I do this? you know,
Mhm.
because like you're switching from being the doer to becoming the business owner, to becoming the face
Mhm.
of the business, to being the
Mhm.
one who's now responsible not only for your own bottom line, but also to pay payroll because you're hiring other people so that you become they become at some point dependent on the money that you can bring in. That way it can
Mhm.
also support their family. So I think that was like the biggest thing for me,
Mhm.
that like I had to like really kind of like stop myself of like doing the things myself and really
Mhm.
just figuring out and like, you know what, hey, can you do this? Yes. But should you do it? No. Because like now you have other people that you know for a fact you can serve because you have the software solutions, you have the skills, you have a
Mhm.
you have a pool of talent that you can leverage to help them get to the solution. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think at first like I couldn't believe what I was doing,
Mhm.
that I sucked at like selling it to other people. And
Mhm.
like if you don't believe in yourself, that's gonna that's something that other people will feel and they will see. And that
Mhm.
ends up, and like especially if you're selling something, that ends
Mhm.
up to where they won't believe the product or service that you're selling.
Mhm.
So I think like getting out of that mindset that thinking that I can't and that I can do it instead. Like I
Mhm.
think that was the biggest thing.
Oh wow! So it was a mindset thing, not even necessarily
Yeah,
a technical or resource related. Okay,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, very, very interesting. Let's jump into personal finance because this, yeah, you have something interesting there as well. Um, you mentioned going from having no credit to reaching an 800 credit score. I mean, this is business related, even though it's it's called it's kind of obviously a personal finance topic. Yeah,
yeah,
but you mentioned going from having no credit to reaching an 800 credit score. Can you share your journey on that? Because believe it or not, there are people that want to know this. Can you share your journey and tips for others uh, aiming to achieve that same milestone?
yeah. So basically, I started with the credit journey really when I was already in the Navy, and
Hmm.
I'm not born and raised in the United States.
Hmm.
I'm born and raised from the Philippines, and as an immigrant, um, you essentially don't have any credit to build off whatsoever. So you're not even
Hmm.
starting with a bad credit, right? Because you don't have any records here in the United States. Because
Hmm.
your first record is when you get here. So really, you
Hmm.
start with what? No credit. So, but
Hmm.
basically, I think for me, like the biggest thing was like learning how to read the credit report. A lot
Hmm.
of people nowadays, like they think like they can spend the money
Hmm.
um, just because they will have a paycheck that can cover it. But really, it's not as simple as that. Like
Hmm.
I mean, it's not as simple, but it's also achievable, right? So like, just to me, like if you learn how to read your credit score,
Hmm.
that would help you with understanding how you can raise your credit score even more, right?
Hmm.
So credit factors like so there's payment history, credit card usage, right? Hard inquiries,
Hmm.
how old is your credit age, something like that. Are there any
Hmm.
derogatory remarks, and like how many accounts do you have in total, right?
Hmm.
So all of those things are basically what shapes your credit credit score, because those are the
Hmm.
little categories within the credit score, right? And obviously, there's three major credit bureaus. There's
Hmm.
Experience, Equifax, and then another one. I forget the other one. But anyway,
Hmm.
like with those three, you take the average essentially, and then that becomes your actual score, right? But
Hmm.
there's free apps out there, like for example, Credit Karma, where you can easily track your finances. And the biggest thing for me was like out of all of those things, the two best things that you need to take a look at is basically your
Hmm.
payment history You want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that's always you're always paying on time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other big thing is essentially credit card usage.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is like, for example, like let's say let's say you only have one credit card,
Mm-hmm.
and then your credit card limit, let's just say you only have 5,000 credit card limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the financial gurus out there, I think they teach you that like you can't utilize more than 10%, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what happens when, like, let's say you use your credit card to do some purchase and then the amount is like $1,000. Guess what? You're
Mm-hmm.
already on the 20% credit card
Mm-hmm.
utilization, right? And if you only have one credit card, that accounts for 20% of your entire credit card usage.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest hack for me was to apply to as many credit cards as you can.
Oh, I see.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and it's so dumb to think about because like
Mm-hmm.
people will think, right? Like, well, I'm not gonna use that. Why would I do that? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, just use that card to pay whatever bills you already have, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't even care what you buy. Like buy a fucking, I don't know, like $1 worth of candy.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
use that, like it's that simple. And what
Mm-hmm.
what happens when you do that is like, let's say credit card number one, you have 5,000 limit. Credit
Mm-hmm.
card number two, you have 8,000. Credit card number three, you have 15,000. So
Yeah.
that's what, like, let's just say 33,000 total credit utilization. And then instead
Uh-huh.
of you using that credit card number one, which only has like a 5,000 limit, you use credit card number three instead when you're making a pretty significant purchase. So let's say, going
Yeah.
back to my example earlier, instead of using credit card number one for that $1,000
Mm-hmm.
charge, use credit card number three because it has a 15,000 credit limit, and that
Mm-hmm.
helps you because instead of it showing that like you have a 20% card utilization, you're
Mm-hmm.
now under you're probably now under 10%. First of all, the limit on credit card number three is 15,000. But then if you add your overall credit card limit, it's like 5, 8, and 15, right? That's 33
Mm-hmm.
grand. And the credit, when you look at your credit score, they're not gonna look at it just individually, but as a whole. So now it will look like, instead of you having like a 5,000 limit, they're gonna look at it as if you have a 33,000 limit. But because you
Mm-hmm.
only use 1,000 of it, you still have 32,000 that you obviously don't need to use, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to, but it's there, and it's such a great way to like boost your credit card usage because
Mm-hmm.
it keeps you further away from that 10% mark.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
as
okay.
an example, yeah. So as an example for me, I have I have a good amount of credit cards,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my overall credit limit is like a 200 grand, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't show, like it shows that, and then my credit card usage only shows like 1 to 2%
Mm-hmm.
because I have so many credit cards that can like tell the credit card bureaus that like, hey, this person has a lot of limit, but they're only using
Mm-hmm.
this amount. So yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's actually a pretty clear strategy. Apply for as many credit cards as you can. So that allows you, a lot of room and flexibility to stay underneath the limit that they require. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't expecting that. I thought I was expecting something complex. you
it's
know,
that
and
simple.
and of course, your capacity as a business owner is stronger. If you have a real strong credit score, you can get more loans and things like that.
Exactly.
That is awesome. That is awesome, man. So how do you, being that you obviously had financial goals. how do you balance the financial goals with entrepreneurial pursuits? The entrepreneurial side of things.
I think managing between the two is pretty easy
Hmm.
because I suck at the relationship part. I'm not gonna lie about that one. Because like I get so focused on it to the point
Hmm.
that like sometimes like I don't really have time with the
Hmm.
family aspect, which I need to work on, like in all
Hmm.
honesty. But I think the biggest thing is like learning which ones I can delegate, I can
Hmm.
automate, systemize, or just delete. Basically, I delete things in my life or in my business that is not really important. Like and then I delegate things that are something that I know I can do, but it would be better for me to delegate it to my staff, for example,
Hmm.
because I'm paying their time and I'm basically paying their time so I can have more hours in a day.
Hmm.
That way I can be more the face of the business that I'm building. And I find the repetitive stuff, I create an SOP that I can use to delegate to my staff. And then the
Hmm.
rest, I basically use automations because if it's so repetitive, then I just
Hmm.
end up using automation tools like Zapier, for example.
Hmm.
That way, they don't have to do the boring, repetitive tasks because I'd rather them do a little more high level tasks than doing
Hmm.
repetitive work. And
Oh.
ultimately, like the biggest cheat code is really AI, because like
Hmm.
a lot of businesses are still not adapting it, which is insane to me because there's so much things that you can do with AI, and you
Hmm.
can even like utilize AI now to like help you with the automation part.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So I'm curious. Just kind of I'm curious from my background. This might hope this is not too much of a you know going off of a tangent too much. Was it difficult for you to learn automation? I've heard a few people mention that, and I've heard Zapier, and I heard this one called Integramat, or now it's called Make.
Make
Was
Yes.
it difficult? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, was it difficult to learn that? To kind of learn. It's not really coding, right? But it's you gotta know stuff. Was it
Um,
difficult to learn that? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where does that land?
what is one? Is
What
one
the
easy?
level of difficulty to learn to really be at home with automation?
Yeah,
Like
so let's just say one is easy and 10 is hard, right?
yeah,
Nowadays, if somebody is to start right now,
uh
I
huh,
will rate it as a one because it's
uh huh,
that easy.
uh
And
huh,
I will share why. So with AI now, right?
hmm,
Sign up with Zapier.
hmm,
Before you have to do the flows yourself,
hmm,
right? You have to create your funnel basically
hmm,
of like the automation that you want Zapier to do. But now
hmm,
they have a little text box where they
yeah,
ask you, all right, what do you want to automate, right?
yeah,
So now you just type it and then let's just say you say, I want my leads from this software to
hmm,
to be pushed to my Google Sheets.
yeah.
And guess what? AI with automation combined, already creates that.
It,
So
it
all you
will
have to
create
do
the
is
motivation for you.
yeah, and then you just connect your accounts.
Get out of here.
That's it. So how hard is that? Like to me, that's not hard at all.
My goodness. Okay. So Zapier, huh? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is great. This is great. We're really touching on a lot of great points here, man. Let me kind of shift to another angle in your entire entrepreneurship journey. Onto the mentorship side of things. As a mentor to the military and the San Diego community, uh, what advice do you give to up and coming, aspiring entrepreneurs?
Definitely stop overthinking,
Hmm.
just fucking do it, and just stay
That's
consistent.
great.
Because like if you think
You
about it,
got to
right? Like
do
there's
it.
so many resources, there's so
Yeah,
many free things, there's so many paid things out there.
yeah, uh-huh,
But you already know the skills that you have.
yeah.
You already know that there's 7 billion people in the world. And
Hmm.
if you tell me right now you can't even sell to one person,
Hmm.
you're just overthinking the shit out of it,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Because like if you present your offer, that
yeah,
offer is something the person needs or the business
yeah,
or another business needs, they will
uh-huh,
hire you. It's that simple.
yeah. Okay, that's
That's it.
good. Yeah, not. Nike says just do it. You said just fucking.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Okay. Can you share a success story of someone you've mentored who has achieved something like maybe something related, like
Yeah.
somebody,
Let me think. I think like the biggest, I guess, flex for me is like one of
Hmm.
my recent clients, right? So she basically has like another 9 to 5 when we started working. And this 9 to 5,
Hmm.
she just kind of like my wife, right? Like she was feeling spent, she was feeling overwhelmed, she couldn't really manage her own time because
Hmm.
the business that she works for, or the company she works for, sets the time,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
she's started of it because like it's not really optimal to the lifestyle
Hmm.
that she wants to have, especially like with humans, right? Like we all age, so our lifestyle
Hmm.
becomes different, our pace becomes different, and like the
Hmm.
needs and wants that we have becomes different. So
Hmm.
when we started working, um she didn't have no systems, she
Hmm.
didn't know how to sell. She has the
Hmm.
skills, right?
Hmm.
But she doesn't know how to build an offer. She doesn't know
Hmm.
how to utilize social media, to use that
Hmm.
as the vehicle to offer her products and services.
Hmm.
And I think we started working, man, not even a year ago, really. And basically now she's at that point where she dropped her 2 week notice and she's
Hmm.
starting her own business.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay, that's great. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Um.
I have a lot of like people that are kind of, like kind of on the same boat where like they started with a 9 to 5.
Hmm.
And then basically I just mentor the shit out of them, I guess. And
Hmm.
then, and I'm a very honest person. I'm sure you can tell, I'm very
Yeah.
straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically I just tell you what it is because like
Yeah.
looking back, like, cause like these things that I get to enjoy now, these
Hmm.
things didn't happen overnight. There's a lot of failures and all this
Yeah.
stuff that I
Yeah.
really wish I had a mentor back
Hmm.
then who were very honest and be like, dude, just fucking do it, right? Something like
Yeah.
that. But I didn't really have that much exposure.
Hmm.
So to me, like, I don't want to waste your time because I value your time and my time. So I'm gonna tell it to you
Hmm.
straight. Um, and yeah, basically, if you just do the things I tell you that you should
Hmm.
do, it's not because I'm just telling you something just for the sake of talking. It's not even like that. To me, I'm telling
Hmm.
you that because I've experienced it, I've lived it, I've failed,
Hmm.
and I've seen some success. So
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Now you mentioned automation earlier.
yeah.
Let's kind of dive back into that. How have you utilized, like, as far as like the actual practical applications? How have you utilized automation in your particular business operations to work fewer hours while you're growing?
Yeah, so all right, so I guess like a simple thing, right? So somebody books an appointment with us, requests a
Hmm.
consultation call to, and we do this for any businesses. They basically book a time, they fill out a form, right? So
Mhm.
that simple thing, right? Because before, if you need somebody to book a time with you, you either as a business person talk to that person, set up a time, go back and forth with them. Oh, what time are you available? Oh, what day are you available? Right? Well, guess what? Now you have a calendar. Send them the link. Easy. Next, right? Before
Mhm.
you need an assistant. We're like, oh,
Mhm.
can you? I'm sending you this form. Can you fill it out? Right? You know,
Mhm.
simple like that. Guess what?
Mhm.
After they book or before they book, you can already send them the form, fill them, have them fill it out online, so there's no back and forth.
Mhm.
They fill it out. It gets sent to you. A copy is sent to them, right?
Mhm.
So simple things like that. Um, and then you now use that information and you can transport sorry you can move that to your CRM, for example, put them in
Mhm.
a pipeline, and then on that pipeline you can kind of see what where they're at the
Mhm.
sales cycle. So for example, they're they're now they're now on the sales pipeline. They're now on basically a book the call flow. Let's
Mhm.
say they finished, you close the deal. We just move them to another pipeline. When that pipeline gets triggered, we then
Mhm.
automatically send them to our onboarding form, right? And on our onboarding form, we essentially just grab their brand assets, all that stuff, and then pretty much like collect information again, book another
Mhm.
time so we can get started. We can get to like really do a deep dive and pretty much like start from there. And then all of those things that I just mentioned, for example, the brand assets that we're collecting, what happens with
Mhm.
that is like as soon as they fill out a form, for example, for that specific onboarding, and this like
Mhm.
literally things we're doing in our business.
Mhm.
As soon as they upload it, guess what happens? We remove that those brand assets into Google Drive.
Mhm.
We use automation to automatically pretty much create a Google Drive. We share
Yeah.
that automatically to them. We
Mhm.
then share it to our team. That way our team
Mhm.
can start working on those brand assets. And
Mhm.
then we use automation once again. So we already have their email, for example. We already have their name, right?
Mhm.
Which is like we close the deal. And then
Mhm.
we will move those information into creating their username and password to our software per se.
Mhm.
And then we also move them to our project management tool. You know,
Mhm.
all of those things be like on I guess like on an old school business,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have that kind of luxury. Like it would have been a back and forth, a lot of follow ups that you would have been manually doing. And actually, let me go back. So, for example, like the dog boarding business we have, like when we ask for reviews, those are all automated.
Yeah.
So, so we essentially have a review funnel per se, where essentially we as soon as the booking ends, we just
Mhm.
set up an automation to like let's say 3 hours later we send a
Mhm.
text message, hey, how did we do? Blah, blah, blah. Do you mind leaving us a feedback? Right?
Mhm.
That's automated. We don't ever had to like ask for the review, right? Because they're already
Mhm.
in our
Oh.
CRM. And
Mhm.
then if they don't leave us a review, guess what? That's fine. But we have
Mhm.
automations to do the follow ups,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right? And then when they respond, let's say they respond, right? And then let's say it's a bad review.
Mhm.
Luckily, we haven't had that. But let's say it's a
Mhm.
bad review. Guess what? Instead of it getting posted on Google, Yelp, Facebook, or and all that, what we do
Mhm.
instead is we send them automatically to a feedback form,
Mhm.
right? So now that's another automation within an automation. But let's say it's a positive feedback, right?
Yeah.
So now the next step is to encourage them to post it on social media, right? Or
Yeah.
like Google, for example.
Yeah.
Again, it's another automation on its own,
Mhm.
right? And then guess what happens when that review gets posted? We respond with AI. So what we do is another automation once again, where we ask AI to like read the review and
Uh,
respond in the tone of voice or brand voice for that specific business.
yeah.
We even mentioned the
Oh
name of the
man,
person. Yeah,
insane,
so
man.
it's just automation under automations under automations.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. As far as like going into the category of changes, you've been in the weeds. How has the digital marketing, uh, how has the environment changed? How long have you been doing it?
Honestly, I started back in 2008, even like way before I
Yeah,
joined
so
Navy.
2008 is like it's like the pre it's like Stone Age. So how? Let me ask you. You've been in it forever. How has the digital? I don't think we had. I don't think Uber was even around in 2008.
Not at
Um,
all.
so how has the digital marketing landscape changed since you started? And how have you adapted your strategies to leverage those changes?
Yeah, so I think the strategies don't change, right?
Mhm.
Because it's all, I think a strategy is just simply all about mindset,
Mhm.
right? What really changes are the tools and resources that you have.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, like you mentioned, Uber didn't exist back then. Well,
Mhm.
guess what? Like, if you were to create an online store back then,
Mhm.
like we have this thing now called Stripe, where like you can just collect people's credit cards, charge it, done, right? But
Mhm.
before, you in order for you to have an online store like that, you
Mhm.
would need somebody to code it, or you can just slap a PayPal button back then, but it's not
Yeah.
really going to be a seamless experience, right?
Yeah.
Um, but now, guess what? There's Shopify,
Mhm.
right? So if you're trying to sell like T-shirts, mugs, whatever physical product that you have, you can just
Mhm.
utilize that without learning how to code, and bam, like
Mhm.
15-20 minutes later, you would
Mhm.
already have your own e-commerce store.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things has changed, like building like little complex websites. Before, if
Mhm.
it's not like a brochure website, you wouldn't really need to hire anyway. But like
Mhm.
to build complex ones, you would need to hire an actual developer, right?
Mhm.
Well, when you hire a developer, you would also need to hire a copywriter. You need a CRO, CMO. You're also going to need to hire a web designer, right?
Mhm.
To manage all those parts of that specific project.
Mhm.
Um, but now there's like plugins, there's free frameworks, there's paid frameworks that you can utilize.
Mhm.
There's WordPress, for example. So a lot of these things they used to be able to accomplish by hiring um, talent, you can pretty much do it now with like no code.
Mhm.
So it's just an insane shift in landscape.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, you see a lot of things. You're leveraging a lot of things. You're leveraging automation, leveraging the CMS. So, do you see anything? Or do you see anything? Maybe is there a certain way you see it moving 2 years from now, or maybe 3 years from now? And are you preparing for anything like that, or?
I think for sure AI will be utilized way more, right?
Hmm.
And you kind of already see it. So for the longest time, if I were to ask you, who do you
Hmm.
think is like the major search engine out there?
Hmm. So it's Google, right?
Right, Google.
Hmm.
But ChatGPT, I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, a big a big investor of ChatGPT is who? Microsoft.
Hmm.
Microsoft has a search engine, right? It's big. Um,
Hmm.
does it has a big market share compared to Google? No. But if you look at the trends, they're um they're actually going up slowly because they've integrated AI with their search engine,
Hmm.
right? And then so I think future wise, I think that's kind of like where it's gonna go. So for example, right now Google is king because they have a lot of data that they've collected over
Mhm,
the years across
mhm,
not only search but like Gmail. They read your
mhm,
emails. Google Sites, they read your website. Google
mhm,
Business Profile, they know everything about you. They know
mhm,
everything about your business. Um,
mhm,
but I think it's gonna get to the point where like if AI will be more on the forefront, where
mhm,
it's literally gonna like present you faster solutions or
mhm.
faster search results, for example.
Yeah,
Um, because AI will eventually crawl more of those data than
yeah.
traditional, models.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Okay, so AI basically things gonna go more into AI. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, interesting. Do you have okay, so you're obviously you're still on active duty, right? At this present time?
Yeah.
And you're also running Enzon Media. Do you have any future goals for Enzon Media as in comparison to your personal career or
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to get to the point where I can reach 1 million small business owners and provide
Mhm.
them the solutions that we offer. Because
Oh.
like in the United States, there's like 27 million small businesses. But
Mhm.
if I can get to reach 1 million of them and actually help them out, I think
Mhm.
I think capitalism is like the best way to help humanity, I guess.
Mhm. Oh, okay. That's great. That's pretty good. That's a pretty solid goal there. You know, number related. How do you plan on how do you plan to keep making an impact to to San Diego, to the San Diego community and the military community there? It's kind of like you're already doing.
I think just really being on, like providing honest, real, actionable
Hmm.
feedback,
Hmm.
and like just providing value instead of like thinking of like how I
Hmm.
can make money out of somebody. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So, as far as recommended resources and books and tools, have any of them been instrumental in your journey? Because of course there's a lot of them out there, but have any, maybe about two or three, stood out and provided that punch for you and in helping you get
Um, yeah, I forgot the name of the other books, but one book that I've
book
kind of
or
like,
author? Mhm.
huh?
Book, the name of the book or the name of the author is okay.
Yeah, so there's one. It's the design of the book is like in color orange, and
Mhm.
it's called "So Good That People Can't Ignore You."
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
then
wow.
it kind of like gives like a reality check because like a lot of
Mhm.
people nowadays, especially like younger generations, right? And I'm sure you've
Mhm.
seen this. But like people nowadays, they think everything can be achieved easily.
Mhm.
Everything is convenient. But when you're
Mhm.
starting something, especially a business, it's not really all that fancy. It's not really all that easy. So it kind of like
Mhm.
gives you the reality check that like you don't necessarily start a business out of passion. Sometimes it's you start it based on the skill that you
Mhm.
already have, and then eventually because you get so good with it that it
Mhm.
becomes your passion because you get
Oh,
like a lot of small wins because you already excel at that specific skill.
yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So good that people can
They
ignore
can't
you.
yeah, I think so
Yeah.
good they can't ignore you, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience? And let's kind of go into the final thoughts. I know we're approaching time here, but yeah, is there anything that you would like to share with the business, veteran business audience, about your journey or your business?
Um, no, not really. I think we covered a lot of topics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to to sink your teeth into, especially with AI. The strategies, the credit card journey, and all that. Oh, how can people connect with you on social media and learn more
Yeah,
about
I think the best way for anybody to reach us would be like through our website. So they would just
Okay.
go to enzonmedia.com.
Hmm.
That's enzonmedia.com. They can
Uh-huh.
book a free consultation call with us. Um,
Hmm.
Fill out a form, basically just like what I mentioned earlier. And the
Yeah.
more information you provide, the more that we can help you. And then
Mhm.
my guarantee with that is that it's definitely not going to be a pitch fest where we just sell
Okay.
you products and services that we have. What I
Yeah.
guarantee is that by the time the call ends, you will have at least 1 to 2 actionable tips that you can utilize for your business, and you can apply those same strategies on your
Hmm.
business as soon as we end that call. So that is my guarantee. So it's not me pitching
Oh,
you anything.
oh, okay. So you
It's
definitely
more
get
about,
value,
yeah,
regardless of not whether you do
yeah,
business.
yeah. Because like to me, I don't believe in like gating information, because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, I'm so confident that we can provide you the solutions that your business has
Hmm.
bottlenecks on.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. That's brilliant. That at the very end, you can people know that you can provide value right off the bat. And I want to really thank you so much for coming on, and it's been insightful talking to you. And you seem to be like on the like right there on the current trends of technology and knowing how to use it with business. So that's really a lot of value to learn from. But like I said, I mean, this is really our first episode, so I hopefully I can we can talk again, and you probably have more tools to help us automate over automation.
Hey man, let's talk.
Yeah. All right, RG. Thank you again for coming on, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much, Chuka. Really
All right.
grateful for the opportunity.